Want to show off your Philly pride without saying a word? Philly Goat has you covered. From tees, hoodies, shoes, and hats, their gear screams Philly louder than an Eagles fan at the vet. Whether you're tailgating in South Philly or trying to flex down the Jersey Shore, do it in style. Hit up phillygoat.com, use the promo code Jim Montgomery, and get 10% off your order. Philly Goat, because being Philly ain't a choice, it's a way of life. Go Birds! What's up, everyone? It is the Brotherly Birds Breakdown. Happy opening day. I know this is football, but opening day is opening day. We're the Montgomery brothers. I am Jim.
I'm Kyle. Still.
What's up, brother?
What's going on, man? Going on? Yeah, the
Nothing, man.
Phils pulled one out today, one down, 161 to go, and they're still undefeated for 2026. So I'll take it. I'll take it.
That's the magic number, right? 161 at this point.
161 because the damn Mets won too.
Ridiculous.
Can't deal with it. That's almost as bad as Dallas.
Yeah. Slightly.
Yeah.
Dallas is slightly above, I think, but
it goes in and out for me. Like I feel like in August when the Phillies and Mets are battling it out for like a playoff spot or something, I hate them a little more than I hate Dallas. But
yeah,
2 times out of the year, I can't stand Dallas. I absolutely can't stand them.
Wait until the Mets fans try to, we're taking over Citizens Bank Park, and then they you're right, they immediately shoot up.
Yep, 100%. Jackasses.
All right, so a lot has gone down since the last episode. Howie was making some Howie moves, but I think we got to talk about the same thing we've talked about pretty much every episode since we started this podcast. A.J. Brown, still an Eagle.
Still an Eagle. Still.
And, I mean, so much to get into with that, but I personally feel like obviously where there's smoke, there's fire. But to me, the fact that he is still on this team right now, that's telling. To me, that's very telling. What's your take on the whole entire situation?
So here's the thing. I don't think it's not fixable. I think it's fixable, and for all we know, it's already been fixed because the Eagles have not let on about anything. They're saying all the right things. AJ hasn't come out and demanded a trade and hasn't been, said any derogatory comments towards anybody this whole offseason, which they got to play the game, right? Right. You talk shit on each other and all that stuff. Like nobody's going to want you. The asking price goes down. But here's where I don't see it happening. Right. So there's 2 things at play here. The fact that it hasn't happened yet leads me to believe that it's not going to happen if it happens until June 1st, until after June 1st, right? Well, here's and we've heard all the rumors all week, right? Or the last couple of weeks is that Howie has one asking price that's pre June 1st, another asking price that's post June 1st, right? Because obviously salary cap numbers change, dead cap hit, all that stuff. Well, what happens in the draft if you draft a wide receiver in the first round? That stock price, that asking price for AJ goes way down, right? Because you're not going to get anything for him because you just drafted a receiver. Having said that, the Eagles hold all the cards here. They don't have to get rid of AJ. There's nothing saying that they have to get rid of him, right? So, and from a production standpoint, if you look at his numbers compared to every other Eagles receiver in history, he's had a better 4-year stretch than any receiver ever in the history of the team. So from a production standpoint, He's producing. He's had his best years as a wide receiver, as an NFL starting wide receiver with Jalen Hurts, right? So I don't see there's any world where it makes sense for the Eagles to trade him to an NFC team in any way, shape, or form that you could potentially play against the play in the playoffs and have this burn them in the long run. I don't see that
Yeah,
happening. So if Howie's going to do it, he's going to trade him to a AFC team. And then I don't know if you heard of the last couple of weeks, there's been rumors out there saying about his knee, right? His knee's been banged up, and like people are concerned that his knees are fading away, and they're not going to
I
be good in
think
a
the
couple
doctor
years.
said a ticking time bomb.
Yes. Yeah. So like, what do you what do you do in that regard? Like, I honestly, I'm gonna, I'm probably gonna get some flack for this, but I'm gonna say it similar to what everybody says about divorces. It's cheaper to keep her at this point. To me, it's cheaper to keep AJ Brown and deal with the headache, right? And I know we said that they brought in a couple different receivers, Hollywood Brown, and now they just brought in Elijah Moore, who's good friends with him. Look, Hollywood Brown, Elijah Moore, Damian Pierce, Andy Dalton, none of those guys are locks to make the roster, right? Those guys are
No.
just veterans that fill the need right now. We don't even know who we're drafting yet, all that fun stuff. So these guys aren't guaranteed locks to make it. But it is kind of telling that they did sign two wide receivers to fill John Dotson's spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and I agree with that, and I think with everything you're saying, like, to me, it doesn't make sense from a talent standpoint, like, financially, it doesn't make sense. I mean, either way, you get rid of him, you're gonna take that cap hit, and
Hmm.
Howie has shown over the years, he's not going to make a decision that's gonna hurt him excuse me, hurt him long term, and like to the cheaper to keeper thing, I mean, they're not a better team without AJ Brown,
No.
as far as I'm concerned. And I mean, I think Howie has a number in mind or a package, whatever you want to call it. And he's not going to take anything less than that. Sure, his asking price is probably higher than what he wants, but he's not going to do it for he's not going to take pennies on the dollar for anybody. And I mean,
Right.
we've seen that whether it was Carson Wentz, whether it was Sam Bradford, whether it was um, I forget his name. His name's slipping my mind right now. The guy that went to San Francisco who retired now, Bryce Huff.
Bryce
Like
Huff. Yeah. Yeah.
he makes sure that he gets what is going to benefit the Eagles. So to me,
Yep.
if nobody's going to offer that, AJ's going to be back next year.
Yeah. I mean, post June 1st, the only saving grace with that is it's off your books for 2027 post June
Right.
1st. So it's a dead cap hit this year, and then it's off your books for 27. Which, look, we know we have looming contracts coming up with Q, with Coop, with Nolan Smith, with a bunch of these guys. So like, here's the other thing and the other shoe that's going to drop. I think they're going to extend Jalen Hurts before the draft.
Do you think he's
They're
going
going to
to
restructure his
extend?
contract.
But do you think it's going to be like a Tom Brady esque where
Yeah.
like they're going to give him more money up front, but a much
Yes.
lower cap hit?
100%. 100%. Because Howie did his magic, right? Like we talked about, Howie did his work, and they miraculously went from having like $1.2 million in salary cap to now have 30 plus million in salary cap space, right? So
Yeah.
there's something he's gearing up for something. There's something happening, right? So you have that $32 million cap space. You could trade AJ Brown tomorrow, and it still wouldn't kill you from a salary cap perspective, even with the dead cap hit, because he freed up
No.
all this room, right? Having said that, with all the draft picks they have in these first 3 rounds, the next 2 years, Howie likes to make some moves, and we have doubles in the second round, doubles in the third round in the next 2 years. I think we have three third rounders next year because of a potential compensatory pick. So, like, I
Yeah.
think we
And
have almost three, and we have two second round, two second. Like, it's crazy. So those are the day 2 picks that he likes to move around and potentially package with something to move up in the draft and do some other things. So, you know, he's not gonna we know he's not gonna move out of the first round because he likes that first round flexibility with the fifth-year option, right? That's clear.
Yeah.
There's no other team in the league that does it like he does when it comes to the fifth-year option.
And it's smart though. I mean, and you look at the Jordan Davis, like that was a huge thing. Like, okay, go out and prove it. Like, if you want, we're giving you the option. If you want to come back and be here long term, go out and prove it. And he did. Like, he came
Yeah.
into camp down 50 pounds or whatever it was, and kept it off, and essentially played at a high level. So you're
Yep.
right. There's something to be said about that, and he's not going to give anybody away for pennies on the dollar.
No, no, and look, like, I think there's something to it. Look, honestly, you haven't heard much of from Sean Mannion, from the offensive staff, from anybody except out of Nick a little bit, and that's basic and all these Eagles insiders that seem to know everything there is to know about AJ Brown. You haven't heard it. You
Diana.
haven't heard yeah. Yeah, Insider of the Year award, congrats. But you haven't heard anything from AJ, anything from Jalen, anything from, the offensive staff. You heard a little bit from Howie and a little bit from Nick because they were obligated to answer a couple questions. But, like, nobody knows where the Eagles are on this AJ Brown thing
They don't.
for 100% certainty. Nobody knows anything. Nobody knows nothing. So I just
And
don't
that's
see a world where it makes sense, to your point, to take that talent away from your team unless you're replacing it with equal talent.
right. And I mean, but Howie, the Eagles as an organization are smart to do it that way, one way or the other. And I'll be honest, I mean, if AJ was such a malcontent as everybody says he is, he's so unhappy. And we talked about it all through last season where, dude, just lay off the social media, talk to the media, like give a statement, something. You mean to tell me, like, if he's as and they're all divas, wide receivers are all, and they have to be because, and I think who is it, Hugh Douglas or somebody was like, I don't want a wide receiver who's not a diva. Like, I
Yeah.
need my number one to be that guy. You don't think at some point, like, even on those podcasts he goes on, some, and we heard him say, well, I mean, everything's good personally, but professionally, it's shit. Like, you
Yep.
don't think he's gonna come out on some podcast and say something or post something cryptic? Like, I mean, I get that these are what the rumors are, but I mean, I just, the longer this goes, the more I'm in the maybe he's not gonna go.
Yeah. Like I said, man, I just it's and then you can also look at it like it's addition by subtraction by getting rid of the distraction type thing. But, like, I don't see that. Like, I think that, like I said, I think they can fix this. I think you set clear ground rules early in the season, during the off season. Like, this is what we're doing. You don't do this. You don't do that. You do this. It's done. Like, that's it. Um, Eh, and look, I mean, the Eagles have showed a commitment to AJ Brown since he's been
Right.
here. Like, they redid his contract, they redid all that stuff. So, like, you know, I I just, like I said, in my heart of hearts, I don't see a world where it makes sense. And especially if they decide to draft a wide receiver in the draft, I could see that meaning Hollywood Brown and Elijah Moore. You're gone. We got our
Right.
number three, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, but I mean, if they take a backup quarterback, because obviously they're looking to shop Tanner McKee, like, and they're signing Andy Dalton gives them that opportunity. But they draft a quarterback doesn't mean AJ or Jalen Hurts is gone. It
Right.
just, you're
Yep.
doing what you got to do. And something you said too, the whole addition by subtraction, distraction. You, by all reports from everybody I've heard, like the players, the quote unquote insiders, everybody, they love AJ Brown. It's not a
Mhm.
distraction. So,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, you might be causing a distraction by getting rid of him.
It's only a distraction because these insiders like to have to talk about something and they make it a distraction. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, like you said it best, like all these guys in the locker room say that they love AJ Brown. The fans love AJ Brown. Everybody loves AJ Brown. So what's the problem? I don't understand what the problem is.
Right.
Um, like, look, I've been on teams with people I work with, like we've all worked with somebody that we can't stand, but you do what you need to do to get the job done. You know what I mean? I'll be cordial with somebody if it's for the better of the team and the better of the workplace, right? So like I don't have to like you, but at the same time, one of them, I believe Jalen Hurts is the godfather of AJ Brown's kid,
He
right?
is. He is.
So like there's still a connection there. Like you
Like it
don't
or
just
not. Yeah.
correct, correct. There's still a connection there. So I just I could see this all being like a because they look if they wanted to, they could come out and just kind of squash all this stuff as quick as it started and just be like, we're doing a joint press conference, Jalen and AJ. We're going to talk about it. We're going to put everything to bed right now. But they're not doing it. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that behind the scenes they're not just going. We're going to come out. We're going to just rip it up this
Look at
year.
these people.
We're going to
Yeah.
come out and just shut everybody up. We don't know what's happening. We don't. You know what I mean? And you don't think that
Right.
Jalen's talking to Tom Brady about any of this shit? Guarantee you, he's talking to Tom Brady. They did that little flag football thing, and you could see they were pretty chummy. I'm sure there was conversations happening there.
Guaranteed. Like, and yeah, and I mean, and everybody's like, well, how come the Eagles aren't coming out if they want to keep him and say, we're going to keep him? Who does that? Like, you don't come out and say, we're not going to trade this guy or we're not going to fire our coach. Like,
He's under
you know what I mean?
contract. They
Like,
don't
there's
have to.
right. Like,
It's just asinine. And then you heard reports about, oh well, they said that AJ's agent could talk to people at the combine. Nobody came out and said that the Eagles gave them permission to do that.
right.
You heard the rumors, but the Eagles never came out and said we're granting permission for you to shop around. Nobody said that.
Now,
Nobody
and
said
I
that.
mean, and truthfully, I mean, if his, and we talked about this last episode, if his agent is not seeing what the market is, if Howie's not taking calls on it, they're not doing their jobs. Like at the end
Right.
of the day, it is a business. They're trying to get what's best for their client. Howie's trying to do what's best for the Eagles. If somebody offered 2 first-round picks for AJ Brown, hell, if somebody offered 2 first-round picks for Jalen Hurts, I think you got to take that. I mean,
You gotta listen at
depending
least. You
on
gotta
who it
listen.
is,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I still trust in Howie's judgment. I trust that, you know, Jeffrey Lurie demands better than what the Eagles did last year, and that's just the standard is a standard. And I
right.
he's probably said the same thing that it makes no sense to subtract that talent away from this team unless you're replacing it with equal talent. Or unless you can prove to me that we're going to be just as productive, if not more, without him on the team.
I agree. And I mean, and I'm sorry, but Hollywood Brown and Elijah Moore together are not as good as AJ Brown.
No, and look, let's not get carried away with it. I mean, Elijah Moore was a 3 or 4, and Hollywood Brown was a 3 or 4. So like
Right.
they're not top two options. Can Hollywood Brown take the top off of a defense? Yeah, but is he going to pull a hamstring doing it? Probably.
Probably.
You know what I mean? So like, let's not act like he's going to be out there for all 16 or 17 games that the offense is out there for. It's not going to happen, right? So he's going to miss time. I think the underrated thing that Howie has done so far this year and in this off season, because it's been quiet. It's been quiet.
Very
Let's not
quiet.
get but two things that were very underrated. You already touched on Jordan Davis, so I don't think that was underrated. I think that was just smart move. But
Smart business. Yeah.
exactly. The other smart business decision was not going to the extreme for Jalen Phillips. He got
100%.
he got overpaid, and I'm not look, I like Jalen Phillips for what he brought to us last year, but if they would have paid him that kind of money, we would have been handcuffed. We would have absolutely been handcuffed, and it wouldn't have been worth it, in
That
my
would have been
opinion.
worse than the Bryce Huff deal, in my opinion. I
Yeah,
mean, and truthfully, Carolina, and I don't know how true this is, and because of the legal tampering period and all of this, but apparently they never even met with him. They just called him up and said, "Hey, here's what we're going to offer you," and it was legitimately stupid money that I'm sure he called up Howie and was like, this is what I'm getting offered," and I'm sure Howie was like, "Good luck in
See ya.
Carolina."
Yeah, see ya. See ya. Absolutely. And look, the other thing that I think Howie made a great move on, how he did it, I have no idea. Getting getting Dallas Goedert to come back for 7 million this year. I mean, he's making less this year than he did last year.
So here's my question on that. Like, from Dallas Goddard's standpoint, to me, it shows me one of two things. One, there's a off the record handshake deal that, hey, we're going to extend you this season for a couple more years for a little bit more money guaranteed, or his market just wasn't what he thought it was going to be. And I find it hard to believe that his market was not there because essentially, to me, it was him and Njoku were the two big name tight ends. And
Yep.
I mean, Kate Otten got signed. I don't think Njoku is even signed anywhere yet.
He's not. He's not. He's still out there. He's still out there. And you can't tell me that Dallas Goedert's not better than Kate Otten, but Kate Otten got paid more.
No, 100% is.
You know, the only other thing that I thought about was, you know, this is Dallas Goedert's what, ninth year, I think it is. So like
Something.
maybe he's done, right? Maybe he's done.
Well, I
Because
know
they drafted him the year they drafted him the year after they won the Super Bowl because that was the Akers draft. Remember when Akers was talking shit on Dallas when they were in Dallas
yeah,
because we got Dallas Goedert in Dallas, right? So I think that was 2018. So this is his it's either his 8th or ninth season total. So I think he may be close to retiring, man. He's been banged up the last few years, so like maybe he's giving it one last run. I don't know. I don't know.
possibly. But like, I just to me, like the fact that they kept extending that deadline, like
Something was weird with it. Yeah,
once that happened, I knew he was going to sign. Like there was no
100%.
way they're going to extend it and then be like, nah, sorry,
Yeah, yeah, something
we're
was
just
weird
kidding.
with it for sure. You know, I just, he so far, time will tell, but on paper, the players that Howie let walk, in my opinion, were the right decision. I don't think I don't think
Yeah,
there's anybody that I was like, damn, I wish they would have brought him back because now look, you can say the same thing about N'Kobe Dean. Like N'Kobe Dean at the price that he got, I could have seen that like that was not as expensive as I thought it was going to be. But
no,
he went to the Raiders. He didn't go to Dallas. I'm fine with it. Reed Blankenship went to the Texans. Didn't go to Dallas. I'm fine with it. Trading Sidney Johnson gets rid of a headache, in my opinion.
bye.
Like is what it is. And then like all the other guys that left in free agency, like Dotson, Brett Toth, Matt Pryor, like all those guys, is what it is. I mean, we already knew that we needed to like Brett Toth and Matt Pryor last year didn't really move the needle from a backup perspective for the
No,
offensive line. So we
not at
know
all.
we needed to improve there anyway. Um, and I honestly think that they're going to look at the draft for that with all the draft picks they have because that's what they do, right? They get these young guys
Yeah.
in the draft that hopefully pan out. Plus, they got a couple of your boys that who was the guy that they drafted last year? Um,
Oh,
the center slash guard. Um,
yeah,
what's his name? I can't forget his name. I keep wanting to say Cam Jurgens, but you know what I mean. He's Cam Jurgens esque.
right.
Drew Kendall.
Drew
Um,
Kendall,
and then they got your boy Willie. They got your boy
Willie
Willie.
Lampkin. I'm
So
telling you,
if you notice the offensive line depth that they got, a lot of these guys play multiple positions. You know what I mean? It's like center guard, and then guard tackle with Fred Johnson. So like they got a few guys that play multiple positions, which I like. I forget the guy's name, but I was watching NFL Network the other day, and they were interviewing this offensive lineman, and they asked him because I think he's a tackle, but they were like, apparently you were interviewed out here, and they asked you if you'd be willing to play guard, And you said, "Yeah," and he goes, "Look, I got a family to feed. There's 5 spots on the offensive line, I'm taking one of them." And I'm
Yeah,
like,
I
I
love
want the Eagles to draft that guy because that's the
you
kind
want
of
a guy like
mentality that
that.
we want.
Yeah,
Absolutely, that's the mentality you want, and that's what I feel like Howie went out and got. Like, he went out and got guys and, like, made sure he re-signed guys that had that mentality. Like, look, did Reed Blankenship mean a lot to us the last few years? Absolutely. Is he worth the money for the Eagles that he got from the Texans? No,
no,
absolutely not. But you busted your ass the last 3 to 4 years, go get your bag. You deserve it. You
you earned it.
absolutely deserve it. Yeah,
You got a ring, like,
do your thing,
go
bro.
f
Do your thing. I'm good with it. Same thing with Jalen Phillips. Look, get your bag
yeah,
somewhere else. We're not paying you that money. That's it.
that's stupid money. It's stupid,
Yeah,
stupid, stupid money.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So, speaking of Reed, though, I wanna get your opinion on this because, like, I can see it both ways. What's your take on the fact that he said, "It's the first time in my life that I felt wanted," or what however he worded it, it could have been construed as a shot against the Eagles. I didn't necessarily take it that way until people started saying that because, like, if you look at it, you're an undrafted free agent. They gave you multiple
He had 2
extensions.
contracts. Yeah.
You won a Super Bowl. Like, obviously, you were well beloved here. You were treated well. I think it was just he was like, "Holy crap!" Like, this is what they're going to pay me? Yes, please. But I didn't take it as a shot against the Eagles. I mean, I could see how people say that, but what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, when I heard that, my honest take was 2 things, right? My honest take was, "Oh my god, the Philadelphia media is gonna have a field day with this one," right?
They did.
But then number 2, the way I took it was, yes, he was beloved here, but I this was his first time really exploring free agency,
Right,
and I I think he had multiple offers, but the Texans were the ones that went after him the hardest with that much money, and to your point, that's like being wooed, like, it's being courted by 3 different, potential suitors, and you're like, "I can't believe they want me that much." You know what I mean?
right.
They're buying me gifts, they're doing this, they're doing that, and I think that's what he meant by it, because
I think so too.
because I don't think he would take a shot at the Eagles, I really don't. I mean, he
No,
loved these guys here, he loved all the teammates, he loved the fans, he was beloved, he has a Super Bowl here, he was great here when he was played. I mean, I think it was more along the lines like you just said that I can't believe the Texans are paying me this much money and they're really coming after me hard. I like it, and
right.
it's probably humbling for a guy like him,
And that's and that's the way I took it. But for people to be like, "Oh, it's a shot at the Eagles." Nick Sirianni
Yeah.
didn't talk to Reed Blankenship. I'm like, how are you making that jump from him saying it was the first time I've because I thought it was like, hey, look at my journey. I was undrafted. Nobody wanted me
Mhm.
then. And then, you know what I mean? Like, but
Yeah,
to each,
then the Eagles were the only one to offer me a contract extension when I was technically a free agent, right? So like that's how I took it too. And then now I get
yeah,
to test the market and I'm getting paid $24 million for 3 years. Like I'm getting paid triple what I was getting paid as an Eagle. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So that's the way I took it too. But it's the spinning of the words and spinning of the webs. You know what I mean? Like
That's the way we
it
do
must have
it,
been a
man.
slow week.
It's gotta
Yeah.
fit the narrative. Well, I mean, the
Yeah,
whole free
Howie had a
agency
slow
was
week.
slow.
Right.
Yeah.
Howie had a slow free agency, so we had to cause drama for no reason and just throw it out there, Is
So
what it
before
is.
we get into some of the new guys they did sign, you mentioned like the creative maneuvering that Howie did and the whole Dallas Goddard thing we touched on. What do you make of the Jake Elliott thing? Because essentially he took a pay cut, but he's got more guaranteed money. But to me, I thought that was one of the positions where they were going to bring in a guy to push him a little bit after his pass, the way he played last season. I mean, if you're going to guarantee a kicker $5 million, to me, that tells me he's your guy. There's going to be no competition in camp whatsoever.
I still like something they're definitely not drafting a kicker, right?
No.
I know that they worked out the what was it, the USFL guy or whatever it was, and
Yeah.
he was hitting 70-yard field goals and running a 4.2 40. I'm like, yeah, he's clearly not gonna go to the Eagles because he's gonna get drafted by somebody and somebody's gonna overpay for him. He's gonna get like Aubrey's money from Dallas. You know what I mean? Um,
Somebody like
but
the Cowboys or the Raiders will draft him in the first round.
yeah, yeah, Janikowski's-esque, you know what I
Seabass.
mean? Yeah, but, like, I can still see the Eagles bringing in somebody to push Elliott, and they probably said, "We'll guarantee you," like, to me, this has I hate to say it like this, but it has "Thank you for what you've done for us" written all over it. We're gonna reward you for that, but it still doesn't mean you're taking a pay cut. Your job isn't safe. You're just getting guaranteed money.
Right.
Because if you look at the way they structured the contract, it's guaranteed through 2028. So it's guaranteed for 2 more years. Doesn't mean that
But
we didn't throw void years in there, we just can't get rid of you, and then we'll just a $5 million dead cap hit or whatever it is, we don't even know what that dead cap hit is. I think it's a $4 million uh,
true.
salary or something like that, but, like, if they were to cut him, that dead cap hit might be, like, $1 million. It might not even be that much against the cap. So,
1,000,000 for
that's
like the next 10 years or something.
correct, correct. So, the way that he worked it and the way that they came to an agreement, it still may not be Jake Elliott's job. It may be his job right now to lose, and he could get out positioned for it, and he could be outplayed for it. Because the underrated move that they did was bringing back Braden Mann. I mean,
Oh,
hands
he was
down, yeah.
might have been the MVP of the team last year.
I was gonna say, hands down, we talked about it. Without him, we don't make the playoffs probably. Um,
Right.
we definitely don't win the division probably in a couple of those games because of his special teams. So, I think that was a key move for sure. But yeah, look, jury's out on Jake Elliott, man. Look, if you look at him over the last 5 years, it's been every other year he's had a good year.
Mhm.
Well, he didn't have a good year last year, so I'm looking for a
Maybe this
big
is the year.
2026. Yeah, yeah.
But and like to me, like all these guys like Aubrey, like they're regularly kicking like 50 yarders are like the new 40 yarders and 60 yarders are like, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
He's not doing that. And it like it played to me, it plays into the game plan a lot. If you know, I need to get here in order to feel confident. And even sometimes with those kicks, I didn't feel confident. I mean, extra points, I didn't feel confident last year.
Yeah, I mean, there is something to say about the fact that, like, Dallas only has to go 35 yards and they feel
Yeah.
comfortable with him kicking a 60-yard field goal. You know what I mean? Like, he's almost
Yep.
automatic from 60, and, like, we don't even have a guy that's automatic from anywhere.
No.
Like, he's not, and that's I'm with you on that, and that's why, getting a fresh young leg in there. Look, Jake Elliott's not young either. Let's not act like he's a young guy. Like, he was a rookie in 2017. That's going on 10 years
10
ago. So, like,
yeah.
he's early 30s right now. So, like, that's that's not exactly in your prime as a kicker. He's on the tail end of his career, you know. And he's been banged
Especially
up the
these new
last few
guys.
years. Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I think a lot of the thing with kickers that goes into it is the fact that the extra point is a 33-yard field goal now. So, like, it's not a chip shot anymore. You actually have to put some leg in it. So you have to train differently, you know?
Yeah.
And these young guys are growing up doing that. Jake Elliott had to adjust to that, and that may be why he's been injured. But yeah, I don't know that he's definitely getting the job, but it is weird how they structured his contract and the
Right.
maneuver for it for sure.
I just hope there's a little bit of competition. That's all. That's all I'm asking for. And if somebody outperforms him in the preseason, give him the job.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, they got him off the practice squad of Miami, wasn't it? Wasn't it Miami they got him off
Was it
of?
Miami or the Saints? One of the two.
Whichever one it was, but it was off the practice squad that they got him. So, like, that tells you all you need to know. So, like, we obviously have an eye. Whoever's doing the scouting of kickers, we have an eye for it because we haven't had a ton of kickers in the last 30 years. We've had like a handful. You know, some teams have a new one every year. So. you
sometimes
know,
multiple a year
yeah,
even.
yeah. So we've been pretty blessed and pretty lucky when it comes to that. But yeah, there would be a sense of relief to know that we just need 35 yards. We guarantee ourselves 3 points every single
Yeah.
time. You know,
So, all right. So the big move by Howie, which personally I like it. I
Johnny
love
Munt,
this move.
Johnny Munt. Oh, sorry, sorry.
Well, yeah, we'll get to Johnny, but the big move was Reek Willen.
Yep,
Um, I wasn't expecting that. Super Bowl champion. Yes, he's kind of um, to borrow a phrase from Hugh Douglas, a knucklehead.
hothead.
But
He's a hothead.
oh yeah, but he's good. I mean, former All Pro. Um, did almost cost the Seahawks a spot in the Super Bowl last year with his antics. Do the Eagles have like I mean, I think from a perspective, there's not a better talent-wise cornerback trio in the league than Q, Coop, and Reek. But do they have the guys like can Jordan Davis really step up now? And you're going to be here probably the rest of your career now. Can he step up and kind of keep guys like him, guys like Jalen Carter in check? Does that fall on um, the coaching? Like, does Clint Hurdle, you know what I mean? Like, who keeps him in check?
Well,
Big
remember
Dom?
Clint Hurt. Big Dom's definitely going to play a role in that, but Clint Hurdle was he was the defensive coordinator in Seattle with him, so they have that connection
Yes,
now.
that's huge.
And this just in, Reek Woolen just got a unsportsmanlike conduct penalty as we're talking right now for taunting. So, um, yeah. So look, from a freak athlete perspective, the dude's a freak athlete, and you put him with that secondary, and the potential is there. And here's the other thing too. Vic doesn't seem like he puts up with that crap.
No, that's,
It's
you
no
know what I mean?
nonsense,
That's
right?
right.
That's why Jalen Ramsey didn't like Vic when he was in Miami because he didn't put up with that crap, right? You're here to play football. That's what you do. So I think Reek is young enough that they can still reel that in. Plus,
Yes.
look, let's not act like Q and Coop are like altar boys over here, and they don't do their fair share of getting in people's faces and talking trash
It's
because
because
they
they like
do.
him now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can see this being something where those guys get in his face and kind of keep him under wraps too. Um, but look, you still got Zach Bond as like a undeniable leader on this team,
True.
and let's not act like we're not going to see Brandon Graham back because Brandon Graham said he's going to play one more year. So
When are they gonna
he's
officially sign him? Like, everybody he said he's coming back. The Eagles said they would take him back. Like,
they don't
he'll
need to
be
do it right now. He's going to be on the roster. They just probably
yeah.
need to see how everything else shakes out, right? So because who knows where you're going to put him because he showed that he could play inside and outside. So they'll probably just list him instead of taking up a roster spot of like a depth chart spot of edge when you still clearly need some edge help. Let's just wait and see how it shakes out. But from a leadership perspective, you got guys like him, and then like you said, Jordan Davis. I can even see this being Jalen Carter's time to like grow up as a leader and get this guy under wraps to show that he
This
wants another contract too.
this
You
is a
know what I
big
mean?
year for him, man.
Correct, correct. Plus, let's not forget all the guys on the offensive side of the ball that are leaders, right?
Lane.
Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson, Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, like Saquon getting. I can see Saquon getting in his face, So
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you got a lot of guys. So I'm anxious to see how that turned out. I think I don't know. I still don't know how to say his last name. But Arnold, the linebacker
Abukady,
from
Temple
Abacady,
Zone.
Abacady. Um, but that's a very underrated pickup. Very underrated pickup.
Listen, I know he's a Penn State, like he graduated from Penn State, but he got his start at Temple. I saw him play. Part of the reason he wanted to come here was he was like, I would see the stuff on the walls, like the Eagles, and walking down the street, and just how much people loved the Eagles. He was like, I wanted to be a part of that. And, I mean, he came from what, Atlanta. Like you
Yep.
don't see that down there. So I
Right.
think like and kudos to Howie for signing these guys to 1 year deals. Like
Mhm.
Reek Willing could have a monster year and get a huge contract somewhere else. He could end up being here. And like you could have sort of like not the way they played, but like a Legion of Boom esque type secondary. Because I mean the dude is 6'4".
Yeah.
Um
Beast.
like
He's an absolute beast.
he's a beast. Ebukati, I still have trouble saying his name. Like I said, I mean, he did well at Penn State. That's what got him drafted. But like when he was starting out at Temple, man, he was, and those weren't the best Temple teams that he was on. And like he was like a bright spot in there. And I mean, obviously, like it led him to Penn State wanting him. So
Right.
I
Right.
think with a little chip on his shoulder, I mean, I mean, he's efficient too, from what I saw with the stats. Like his numbers don't jump off the page, but like when he's in there, like, and I know the big thing isn't sacks so much anymore. It's quarterback pressures or hurries, whatever they want to call it. He gets after the quarterback.
So, and he's listed as quote unquote a linebacker, right? So similar to how Hassan Reddick was listed as a linebacker, correct?
Right.
So like he's technically an edge. But I guess with push came to shove, he could drop into coverage, similar to like when Jahai Campbell's in there, right? So
Yep.
that's how I kind of took it. So I'm anxious to kind of see how that plays out and how they move these guys around because the skill set seems like he fits in perfect with the way they have these linebackers and edges play anyway. You know?
Yeah, I mean, but Howie, and we've talked about this a lot last year. Howie gets the hybrid guys that can play. Like obviously, we talk about it a lot on offensive line, but like Campbell could play edge. Brandon Graham plays out like on the edge and he was better as a defensive tackle last year.
Yeah. Yep.
So like having
Yep.
that flexibility, whether it's Vic, possibly Clint Hurt next year, whatever it is, like this is a dude that can play multiple positions and that's what you want.
Yeah. I'm anxious to see how it goes. I just I like what they're building with this defense, and to your point, they are 1 year deals, but that's probably because we have some answers next year that or questions that we need to answer for next year with, Jalen Carter, Coop, and Q. What do we do? And Nolan Smith. You throw Nolan Smith in there too,
Right.
right? And then you're also going to have Jalix Hunt coming up in a year or two. So like you have 5 guys that you really need to answer the questions with, and somebody's gonna be the odd man out. You're not gonna be able to keep all 5.
No.
So, you know, I I just something tells me, and I hate to even think this, but something tells me that Coop's not gonna be here long term,
Uh,
you know?
yeah. I mean, and Howie's got his work cut out for him. And don't forget, you don't know who the defensive coordinator is going to be next year.
That's why, because Coop is flourishing under Vic Fangio playing that nickel role, and, like, how many other people have that nickel role as defined as what Vic Fangio does? Not a lot of people run a Vic
No.
Fangio style defense, right? It's an old school style defense with that nickel guy in there pretty much every play, right? Nobody
Yep.
runs that every single play like that. So it'll be interesting. Not that he can't play man to man and all that stuff, but like maybe this is like an audition for Reek because look, at the end of the day, this is Cooper DeJean's 3rd year in the league coming up. He was a second round pick, so he doesn't have the 5th year option.
He doesn't.
So if they're going to extend him, it's next year because they have the 5th year option for Q. They don't for Coop.
No. I mean, but that to me, that bodes well for what we're going to see on the field because these guys are going to be playing for
Balling
whether
out.
it's with the
Yep.
Eagles or somebody else.
Yep, balling out, contract years, you know what I mean? Like, that's
Yeah.
what we saw last year with a bunch of these guys. We talked about the Phillies earlier. We saw that with
Look
Schwarber
it up.
last year. Schwarber capitalized on a contract year by hitting 56 home runs and like having a OBS of 988 or something like that. So like contract years mean a lot to these guys, and especially in football when it's not guaranteed money
Yep.
unless you get it worked into your contract. So this is like their one shot at generational wealth. So Howie has he missed? Yeah, but has he hit more home runs than he's missed with these 1 year deals? Absolutely.
Yes, he has.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, hell, look at today. I mean, it was one game, first game of the season, but look at Alec Bohm. If
Yep.
Alec Bohm,
Contract year.
like
Contract
contract
year.
year.
Yep. Yep.
And then finally, well, no, I do want to talk about one other guy that we re-signed, but you mentioned Johnny Munt. Um, I I wasn't like, oh my god, we signed Johnny Munt, but at the same time, it's like okay, like they're bringing in guys that they want that fit this offense that they want to run. I mean, I think it's going to be probably one of the underrated signings of the offseason, I think.
Johnny Munt is a million times the blocker that Grant Calcaterra was. Hands
I'm
down.
a mil-
Like,
I'm
but I
100
mean,
times
like
a blocker.
you run a double tight end set because let's not discredit Dallas Goddard's blocking over the last few years. He's gotten a million times better.
He's
But
worked hard at it too.
absolutely, but it's been a liability when Calcaterra is in there.
Yeah,
I don't feel that way anymore. Johnny Munt's not exactly like, let's not say he's Gronk or Travis Kelsey catching the ball. He's not, or Dallas Goddard. He's not going to be that guy. But you're not. That's not why you brought him in here. You brought him in here to be a blocking tight end that can occasionally catch a pass and do all that stuff. Maybe even in the red zone, right? That's what Johnny Munt is. Johnny Munt gives you that other red zone option. Similar, like I'm not saying he can run like those shovel passes like Dallas Goddard, but if you're running a post route in the end zone, Jalen Hurts can find Johnny Munt. He's 6'5". Like they can find him. You
right.
know what I mean?
You know who he reminds me of? And obviously, he's probably way more athletic, and the game is completely different. But somebody like Jeff Thomason, who
Yeah.
all he did was come in to block, but like every catch he made, I think in his career, except for like one, was a touchdown.
Yep. Yep. And that's what they needed. They needed a guy like that. Um, Calcaterra was more of like a pass catching tight end than a blocking one, and it showed. But Johnny Munt's going to be great for them. I have the utmost respect for his ability to block, and I think Saquon's going to love it. Saquon is absolutely
Yeah,
going to love it.
yeah. I was gonna say, don't forget, we still have a pretty damn good running back that our offensive line we had no blocking for last year.
Yep, it's going to be dangerous, man. It's going to absolutely be dangerous. You know,
And that's the perfect segue into it was just announced earlier this week. I loved it. I was so excited to see this happen, but Fred is coming back. And I think probably not going to be a starter, but I don't think we need him to be a starter. I think if they want to run that six lineman set, they can do that. Somebody gets hurt, he can fill in adequately. Like I
yep,
again, an underrated move that we probably
yep.
won't even like it didn't make that big of a news. I think the Eagles put out a tweet or something. It wasn't like, hey, we signed Fred Johnson, but I
He's
think
eligible. He's eligible right now. Right now, number
yes, he
74
is.
is reported as eligible, and I love it.
Well,
I love it.
because he's
You
eligible, Rick Woolen just got another taunting
Another
penalty.
yeah,
But
another taunting penalty, yep. But, you have Fred Johnson as your tackle eligible, and then you have Johnny Munt on the other side. I mean, where are you stopping that offensive line? Like, as long as everybody's healthy, it's just gonna,
part
they're
part the
part the
C's for
seas.
Saquon.
Yep, yep, and look, one other underrated signing that I'm glad that they did was Marcus Epps. I'm glad they brought
Yes,
Marcus Epps back. You and I talked about that the last show. We said, I think it's pivotal that you bring Marcus Epps back because he's your veteran guy. That allows you to let Makuba grow into that role because now you have a veteran back there like you
yep,
had with Reed, right? So having Epps back there gives you some veteran leadership in that secondary to go with Q, Coop, Reek, and more than likely Makuba, right? So I love it. I think that was a great pickup, great signing. And look, the thing that I love about it too, nobody knows what the details of that contract are. Like I never looked in detail, like in depth to see what they signed Marcus Epps for, but you know it didn't break the bank. It was a
No,
1 year deal, and you know that he's coming in because he loves this team, he loves everything about it, and he wants to win. Right.
no, and that's what I mean. At the end of the day, that's a good way to kind of start wrapping it up. That's what you want. You want guys that want to be here, and I think bringing it all the way back full circle to AJ, if he legitimately doesn't want to be here, great. We'll try to find the best package for it. But at the end of the day, they're in the business for the Philadelphia Eagles, not AJ Brown, not Marcus or whoever it is. They're going to do what's best for them, and
Hmm.
you're either with us or step to the side.
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, to your point, it's a business, and the Eagles have all the cards when it comes to AJ. They hold all the cards because
Yep.
he's under contract. So if he doesn't report, he doesn't do any of that, it's going to be another TO situation where he's just going to lose money. He's going to lose money. He's going to miss out on money. He's going to get fined, and then he's going to get that stigma around the league that he's so difficult to
Yep.
work with. Because if Howie can't work with him, then he must be difficult to work with. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Howie can work with anybody.
Correct, correct. We bring anybody in and we can help rehab them, right? We can help do that stuff. So, it'll be a fun few weeks leading up to the draft. Like I said, I highly doubt there's any major news on the Eagles front leading into the draft. I'll be shocked if there is, outside of like a restructure here or we
Right.
re-sign this guy or something like that. But I don't see any blockbuster trades or anything like that happening before the draft.
No. Now, we'll get more into the draft next episode, but just something I heard this today, and I forget where I even heard it. It might have been on Twitter. There was a restructure that happened somewhere. A guy that has been on the Eagles' radar for a long time, that with the way his contract was, made it almost impossible for anybody to trade for him. Apparently, he restructured his contract. It's more trade friendly. He's playing for a team that's going through a massive rebuild, brand new coach, lots of draft picks, fits a need that we have.
Yep,
So,
they changed the verbiage
Howie's,
is how they did it. They changed
yeah,
all the verbiage that's in his contract to make it more suitable. So
I'm
you
not
know,
saying that he's in play, but I'm also not saying he's not in play. And that would be
I
the guy in
think
Cleveland, for
I
those of
think
you who are
you're
kind of wondering.
He's this is Jim Montgomery's attempt to be 2026 Eagles Insider of the Year.
Just
You heard it
connecting the
here
dots
first.
here.
Yep,
Just I'm not going to
I can
mention
see it.
names. I'm not going to
Hey,
mention names.
if the Eagles are smart, I'd throw in a couple of those like a second and third round pick to go with AJ. That's what I would do.
Yeah. I mean, you have multiple young quarterbacks. You have a guy who doesn't want to be here. You have the team he loves making all these other moves for wide receivers. You
Yep,
have a guy we need. We have a guy that could help your young quarterbacks out. You
yep,
restructure this contract.
could
Just
happen.
I'm just saying. I won't mention his name. I won't mention his name, but he
That'd be a
plays in
fun draft.
Cleveland.
That'd be a fun draft night trade,
It
wouldn't it?
is.
Oh my
It
God, that would be
totally.
a great draft night trade. Whew.
I mean, I would give up I for what we would have him for 2, 3 years max, probably with his age.
Yep.
Like I would totally do it. And
Yeah.
then you run like a Baltimore Ravens style or offense where you just pound the rock to Saquon, pick your spots with Jalen, get him on the like whatever the offensive thing is.
And Johnny Munt blocks all the way to the end zone.
There you go.
That's the way it works. That's the way it works. Johnny Munt's going to be the offensive MVP of this Eagles team next year. I'm telling you. And
It's
look, they're going to be on Broad Street or by the art museum doing the speeches for the Super Bowl, and Saquon's going to come out and he's going to say, you know, we couldn't have done it this year without this guy, Johnny Munt. And Johnny Munt's going to step up there and he's going to do very similar speech to what Jason Kelsey did and solidify himself in Eagles lore. And everybody's going to remember the name Johnny Munt.
And then end it with like a stone cold beer
Yep.
chug.
Yep. It's going to happen. And he's going to throw Munt cakes at everybody. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be Munt cakes.
I love it. All right, so we will be back in a couple weeks. Get you ready for the draft. Um, my free time from here on out is going to be scouring and trying to figure out, because if you look at the mock drafts right now, the Eagles have been linked to every position in the first round but a quarterback and a kicker.
Facts. 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 Which means they'll draft a quarterback and a kicker in the first round.
100% they'll trade up.
Yes. Yes. With the number
Howie,
10
keeping
pick.
them on their
Yeah.
toes.
Yep. Yep. Never let them know your next move, Alex.
They never saw it coming.
Love it. Love it.
All right, brother, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter at KyleMont16, and then you can catch me every week on the Classic Conferences podcast on the Members Pod. I did a cameo this week on the NBA Pod as the Philadelphia rep, and no coincidence that I joined the NBA Pod as the Philadelphia rep, and the Sixers score 157 points. Just saying. Just saying. And you can also catch me each week on the State of Kentucky Report, where we talk about the future of Kentucky basketball and Kentucky sports, and lots to talk about there too. So it's gonna be a fun month for me for getting the Eagles draft ready, Phillies opening day and opening month, and Kentucky basketball leading into the Kentucky Derby, buddy.
Nice. It is in the state of Kentucky.
It is. It is.
All right,
Where can they
look for
find
me
you?
every weekday this day in Philly sports history. We're winding down our lot of March Madness and Big Five talk this month on this day in Philly sports history, as well as Women's History Month spotlight from Philly to the WNBA. We've been talking about the journey, and then all social media at Philly Jimbo. And I do have to say one last thing, and you mentioned them, but don't don't sleep on the Sixers right now. I think they've been playing coy. I mean, I think they were helped out by PG's suspension, but Joe did on his interview yesterday said, "Oh, my knees are not a problem at all. It's the
Love it.
oblique."
Yeah, yeah. Did you hear that? Like you couldn't
Yeah.
cough and everything. Yeah. So real quick, great job with your daily stuff with talking about the Big Five and March Madness. And I had a debate with our lovable best friend and favorite Uncle Roach. You were not there at March Madness this year, so I had to kind of take it on myself. But Nova is not a member of the Big Five, in my opinion, because they're not a Philadelphia school. They're not. They're a
I,
mainline school. They're a mainline
I
school.
I can't argue it. I can't argue it.
Temple, Temple, St. Joe's, Drexel, LaSalle, and Penn is who I put in as the other Big Five school. Nova, you're out. You're out. You're 25 minutes west. 25
It
minutes west.
it's hard to argue that. And as a staunch Temple guy, as you can see, we don't think that they are Philly school either.
Mainline. And look, the ball doesn't lie. That's why they got booted out in the first round. Just saying. Just
And
saying.
we'll leave you on that note. Oh, by the way, I need to start a petition, and they took the Rocky statue down. They're putting it inside for the whatever display they're doing about the 50th anniversary of Rocky. They're going to put it back out at the top of the art museum steps when it's all said and done. To me, I love Rocky. Don't get me wrong. It's a travesty. The one statue that should be up there is down at Stateside Live right now. The real heavyweight champion, Hall of Famer, a legitimate, real person, Joe Frazier should be at the top of the art museum steps. That's my
I don't disagree.
PSA for the day.
I think they should just swap them out. They should move 'em. They should put Rocky down in the sports complex.
That's where he was for years. I mean, I'm fine with putting him down on the side, but he's a fictional character, a little bit of life imitating art. Put Joe at the top, do a big ceremony,
I don't
get
disagree.
get Ali's grandkids to come up and start talking to uh, Joe Frazier's daughter and
Yeah,
have him
yeah,
throw the
make a
motorcycle
spectacle.
helmet at it.
Yep. Yeah, make it a spectacle. Absolutely. I like it. I like it.
All right. On that note, we will be back in a couple weeks to get you ready for the NFL draft out in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania this year.
Yinzers. Yinzers.
Should should be an interesting time out there with that crew.
Yins will love it.
All right, brother. I will talk to you. Everybody, this is the Brotherly Birds breakdown, free agency recap edition. We will see you in a couple weeks. And as always, go
Go
birds.
birds. And Dallas suck.
Always do.